So welcome back. Today we're going to look more at section 2.3, linear functions in slope-intercept form. We've got two concepts today. Our first concept is to find the equation of a line when given the graph. So we'll kind of be working backwards from what we saw yesterday when we were graphing. If you haven't written this down, you're going to want to write down this y equals mx plus b. Remember, your m is your slope, the y-intercept is your b. So let's look at our first example. So this comes straight from Delta Math, but they're going to give you an equation of the line. They want you to write the equation of the line in fully simplified slope-intercept form. So your approach, or what you want to do is you want to, since we're writing it in y equals mx plus b, we got to find two things. We got to find our b, and we got to find our m. So your b is easy. Your y-intercept, remember, is just where does it cross the y-axis. So for this graph, if you look, it starts up at 5, at that point there. So our y-intercept would be 5. To find your slope, remember, it's going to be between 2 points. So I'm going to use the y-intercept, and if you can't see like from the camera, there's some points that are darkened on Delta Math. So you're going to count your rise over run between your 2 points. Because remember, if you don't remember, slope is rise over run. If you go up, it's positive. If you go down, it's negative. And you're pretty much, you should always try and go to the right. So your run is always positive, but if for some reason you go to the left, it is negative. But so between these points, we always, my advice is always start at the left one, and you're going to go up 1, right 3. So your rise would be 1, and your run would be 3. Now that we've got our y-intercept and our slope, we just got to put it into our formula. So plug it in, you'd have 1/3 x plus 5. And that would be our answer. All right, so let's look at our second example. So I want you kind of to try this one on your own. So like I said, if you haven't written down y equals mx plus b, definitely want to rate that before you get to your examples today. But m is your slope, b is your y-intercept. So where is our b? Or how high or low does your graph start? Well, if you looked at it, you should see that it starts up at 3. Next, you want to find your slope. So you can use your y-intercept, and there's another point here. So what would your rise over run be between those 2 points? Well, if you looked at it, you should see that you went down 1 and 1 to the right. So that would be -1 over 1. So we need to put this into our formula. So it would be y equals -1 over 1x plus 3. But be careful. In Delta Math, they're not going to like this if you don't simplify this fraction. -1 over 1 is really just -1x plus 3. So if you get a fraction, try and simplify. If it's a whole number, write the whole number. If it's a fraction you can reduce, you should try and reduce it. But let me know if you have questions or if you think you're getting it right and Delta Math is marking you incorrect. All right, our second concept for today is we're going to be looking at vertical and horizontal lines. Vertical lines are given by the equation x equals c, where c is a constant. So for example, x equals 3 would be a vertical line. And we're going to see when we graph these have an undefined slope. So if you were finding the slope yesterday and you ever got an undefined slope, the reason is you really had a vertical line. To find the equation of a horizontal line is given by the equation y equals c. So for example, y equals 5 would be a horizontal slope, and horizontal slopes have a 0 slope. So if you ever got 0 as your slope yesterday, if you graphed it, you would have really gotten a horizontal line. And just to recall, if you don't remember, a vertical line goes up and down. A horizontal line goes straight left to right. So you're going to see two types of questions potentially in Delta Math. The first type of question is they're going to give you a graph, and you're going to write the equation. So you want to ask yourself first off, is it vertical or is it horizontal? So this first one is vertical. So remember, vertical lines start with an x. So this would be x equals. And then you just want to go over on your x-axis and see where did it cross. It crossed at 4. So this would be x equals 4. For the second one, we have a horizontal line. So remember, horizontal lines start with y. So this would be y equals, And then you want to go up to your y-axis and see where it crossed. So it's kind of hard to see on your paper, but it crosses at, this is the line here, it crosses at -5. This is your y-axis, or your x-axis here. This is the actual line, in case it's confusing. A couple things. Why? Any point you pick on this line, like this, for example, would be 2, -5. This point would be -6, -5. Any of these points on this line are going to have a y value -5. Same idea. Any point on this line, like for example, this would be 4, 5. This would be 4, -5. Like any point on that line is going to have an x value of 4. So that's why these equations are true. All right, and the last type of question you could see in this second section, they might actually have you graph one of these special cases. So they want you to graph x equals -3. So the first thing they're going to have you choose is what type of line you have. So is it a vertical line or a horizontal line? If you didn't remember, make sure you write this down. Vertical lines start with x equals a number. Horizontal lines start with y equals a number. So since this is x equals a number, you're going to pick a vertical line. And then it'll pop up with a vertical line on your screen. And you need to just click where you want it to start in terms of your x. So for example, since this is x -3, you would just click here with your cursor, and the vertical line that's already drawn will move to that spot. You can kind of click and drag it, I believe. But those are our two concepts for today. There will be a new Delta Math section. Let me know if you have any questions. Good luck though.